Good morning, YouTube. This is Aaron with N.A.S. Garage. Let's get started today, huh?
Not what I expected, honestly, not at all.
So, I basically just have the back end mocked up right now. I still have to put the control arms in. I gotta make those are just some temporaries. I'm actually gonna be using this big huge piece of 2-inch pipe. So, yeah, let's get to it. Alright, so, got one of the rear swing arms done, or rear control arm I guess you would call it, the long travel part. I got this heim joint welded in there on this side. You can see it's welded in there pretty good. That's gonna mount up here. Probably gonna build a bracket here so I can bolt it to. I bent it a little bit down here on this end. Gave it a little curve. That's kind of a pain. And I haven't welded this side, but you can see I cut out the pipe so I could fit that little heim joint in there and weld it up. So I gotta weld this side up. So yeah, should be good once it's done. This end of it, I don't have anything there, so nothing back here yet. I have to adapt this, cut it on like an angle. Once I get that in there, I'll cut this, you know, how it should be. Adapt it straight to that pipe, whatever housing I'm using. Probably gonna, I need to find a bearing for it. And if I find one that's close enough, I'll just turn the shaft of this down. And make a housing for this that I can just weld that right to that housing. That's what I really want to do. And then up here, all this stuff. These are the axles. This is actually the driver's side axle out of a Honda Civic DX. I got another one right here. So I'll have both of those. Those are almost 3 foot long. So that means it's pretty wide in the rear, which is good because I want that long travel. This chain case, I took this down, and you seen yesterday I turned this down on a lathe. I basically turned this part down and cut the shaft off right here, so I could still use this side of it to lock the chain case in. I'll reclose the chain case up and fill it back up with oil, and I'll weld back on that little collar that was right here. And then we could put a sprocket on this side and we should be good. And this way I can still use this whole unit on this. So what I'm thinking is I'll end up taking this part off, cutting what we don't need, like basically cutting all that off, because we just need the engine mount and the clutch mount. And if we put those back together how they were, you know, the belt tension will be proper. The clutch engagement can be, you know, properly done. I can like adjust all that how it should be done, and that's the main goal on that. So we'll put that back together, and that'll be how we get the power down to the tires, or how we get down to the gearbox here that we got to build still. I'm thinking I need 2 bearings there, a shaft in the middle. I'll weld it, and then I'll put a collar on one side. Not sure, I'll put a collar on either side, but that way I can take it out and take it apart if I do want to change the sprockets and whatnot. But I have, this is the, where did it go? Ah, right there, okay. So this here is the snowmobile's power shaft. After I cut it down and all that and cleaned it up, it's a little small. But it'll work for what we need it to. I just got to get bearings for it either side. This one here is a shock out of I think a Mercedes shock, but this is like the inside of the shock, but it's a solid core hardened steel inch and a 16th or something, whatever. But it can get turned down on a lathe if I need to make another shaft for whatever, and I can turn it down to make adapters for this side, I'm pretty sure, because it's bigger. As long as it's bigger than this and this, I can make a collar. Now these are two different sized splines. I'm gonna have to figure that out, get this spline smaller, or I'll just have to turn out the other side of that hub. I'll have to turn the other hub out so this will slide in, because the bolts are the same size. I can bolt it up the same way. So, all right, so yeah, let's keep getting at it. Also, I went to the local car clinic, Premier Auto Care. Talked to the owner there, Tim Rice. Really good guy, really nice guy. He gave me these two nice shocks for Fox 1. These are going to be for the rear on the long travel. And these wheel bearings here that he had in the back, he said, you know, they're junk, but you never know. The housings may come in handy. I'm thinking if I can pop these bearings out, I can use these rear housings. I don't necessarily need the hub, I just need the housing. I mean, some of them aren't bad. They just need to get, like that one's very tight. This one here that one's toast. This one's not bad, too bad. It still spins. It's just starting to go bad. So it'll be fine for our application. But these spindles, they match the Hondas. So these are the Honda's ones, and these are those golf cart rims. And the Honda spindle fits, so that means I can put these on the front, and it'll be fine, because I can use these and probably one of these bearings here, and I'll put it on the lathe once I get this. So once I get the hub out, once I get this hub out, I'll turn it down, cut this part off, cut this face off, turn this out to where it can receive this. Then I'll press this onto there, press that onto this hub on the inside, and then press this back into this bearing and housing. And usually when I repress a bearing, it usually tightens them up a little bit, and they get a little more life out of them anyways. So by doing that, I'm basically making myself another one of these, and I have two of these. The other one is still in that one, that tire over there, still in there. So yeah, that's the idea. So once again, thanks to Tom Rice, he's awesome. So if you're ever in the area and need some cool stuff, there you go. Nice guy. Alright, so I went ahead and popped out this wheel bearing out of this one I got from the scrap yard. The bearing itself looks pretty good. I mean, I'm probably going to grease it really good, but the inner housing looks good. The bearing itself looks good, just needs some grease. And I mean, both sides are good. This side out here is the one I need to modify. Then I'll fill this back up with grease, and then I'll repress it, and it'll be like a brand new bearing all over again. This piece, I'm going to need to set it in the lathe, and I got to cut this off, this bolt pattern. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm probably going to cut away in here until this comes off, and then I'll be left with just this portion, which is the part I need to put back inside of here and bolt that up. And I'll also turn the inside of this out a little bit so that I can slide it and that bearing into that collar there. So I can basically slide it in here. It's pretty close, but I need to make it bigger so I can slide this inside of that hub until it slides all the way in nice, and then the bearing, and then it should seat the bearing really nice too as well. Alright, so we got the that part all milled out, so now we have ourselves a nice new wheel bearing that holds this hub very well. So now all I have to do is weld that up on that end, and yeah, now I have a hub and bearing for this side. Alright, so we got a lot done today. We got the hubs made for this side at least. So we just cut a hole out. I bolted this one up. This is a GM wheel bearing, so on the plus side, if I ever need to, I could try and do it again. Probably not though. I have to connect two brackets here that are going to connect to the lower portion of the frame there.
This is a kind of crazy bend, but it's so I can connect this, and it would still clear the tire there all the way around. So this. Alright, so I got this part of the bearing, wheel bearing all laid out so it can accept that hub, the hub that we have over there. Now I'm just going to take this piece and I'm going to press this piece into the old bearing, which is this one, huge bearing from Mercedes. Alright, so we have this this bearing, right, from this hub here, and this one here I turned down the other day. This one has a housing on it, like a boltable housing. This one does not. Now, this is a really good bearing. So, what I plan on doing is, I think I'm just going to cut this up here, cut this off, and cut here. So I'm just going to cut both. I'm just going to cut this off so that I can use this housing, and then I'll weld all the rear end stuff to this housing, press the bearing back in it, put the hub on, probably weld the back of the hub and that out of that bearing, and then call it good. All right, so we got a lot done today. We got the hubs made for this side at least. So we just cut a hole out. I bolted this one up. This is a GM wheel bearing, so on the plus side, if I ever need to, I could try and do it again. Probably not though. I have to connect two brackets here that are going to connect to the lower portion of the frame there. This is a kind of crazy bend, but it's so I can connect this, and it would still clear the tire there all the way around. So this way the length is almost about right. This will be more like down here. It'll look a lot better because I could probably bring it in a little closer. Yeah. So, yeah. So there's that hub. That one. Just got to connect the back side of it. Get a jack shaft figured out, and figure out where I'm gonna mount that part of that control arm. That's what I have to figure out. Because that's not attached, that's just held on. So I figured I'll get this attached. I'll figure out where this goes. Build the gearbox here, jack shaft and couplers, so I know what's going on back here. Then I will connect this portion to the frame. I'll make a mount for that front part of the control arm. And this. And then I'll do a shock mount, and then I'll put it on its own weight and see how that goes. Hopefully that'll be sweet. So here's the other bearing from that other housing. This one turned out pretty sweet. It's huge though. Yeah, so this one good to go. We'll make this tomorrow. Alright, so that's going to be all for us today here in N.A.S. Garage. I'm Aaron saying until next time, keep creating.